just be able to do an introduction on them. So we're going to continue on with this. So functions we know from IGCSE is that they're what you may call it's a continuation from what you've studied in IGCSEs and O levels. All right, it's probably one of the more easier topics that there is to know, and it's not that hard. And if I were to describe what a function is, it is simply a relation between an output and an input. So it's a relation between an output and an input. And this is what we're going to focus on throughout the entirety of this chapter, which is going to be what is this, output and input and stuff of that sort going to be. We're going to be concerned with what is this output. We're going to be concerned with what is this input. Let's see. So if we're talking about inputs, it is a function best described as some sort of a machine or some sort of um, a formula of some sort where you plug in inputs and it gives you outputs as results. All right, some sort of formula or some sort of equation which is going to give you results. And what do you plug in a mathematical function is that inputs are usually values. Your input is your domain. It's known as the domain of your function. And also, they are your values of x, usually. So, in a mathematical function, values of x are plugged into the function, and they are also known as your input, and they're also your domain of the function. The domain is going to be all the values that you can put into that function, particular function. At the same time, your output of the function is what? It's the range of your function. Whatever the function is going to give you in return to these values of x, that is going to be called as your range of the function, or you can say your output to the function. And this is all what we've previously studied as well. And usually these account to values of y or f of x. Clear? So your range of the function is known as your output, and your domain of the function is actually your input to the function. All right. Now let's look deeper into what is my domain and stuff of that sort. So we look into domain and range. This is all stuff that has been previously, it was in your syllabus in IGCSE as well. It's not that important. We're just going to go, it's not that new to you, sorry. It is very important. So it is, we're just going to go through it in a much more detailed and in depth now. So if I were to explain what domain is, It is practically all the values of x that can be plugged into the function, right? So you can say values of x compatible, or you can say, an easier word would be that can be put into the function. All right. So it's going to be happening as values of x compatible as inputs to the function. Now, what do I mean by that? The best example I can think of is um, a lot of games we play on our phones and mobiles. Sometimes it says that the certain game, like for example, on the iPad, WhatsApp is not compatible. WhatsApp doesn't work on iPad. The app WhatsApp, it cannot be downloaded for some stupid reason. But uh, so it can not be, it's not an input. I cannot put WhatsApp in over here in order to get, my messages and everything from WhatsApp from this. I cannot get the output from this. Because why? Because it's not compatible as an input to this iPad. So all the values which can be put into your function are its domain. Some values cannot be put into your function, therefore they will not be your domain. Moving forward, domain and range go hand in hand. So let's look into your range. Your range is pretty simple in the sense that it's all the output values of a function. So values of output for the domain of a function. Like whatever domain you're going to put in, that is going to give you an output. So values of output for the domain of a function. Like it cannot be so that in I put some in a machine which can only I put some wood in a machine and I expect some sort of glass chair to come out of it or some sort of glass product to be formed from it. Absolutely not. If I am putting in wood into it, obviously I need to expect the output or the range of that machine to be wood related as well. So values of the range is defined as your values of output for the domain of a function. All right. Keeping this in mind, we have now this is just an intro to the function itself. Let's move on to types.
Wait, and Mr. How do you do like, and then Mr. You also like, there's also like the tests you do to like see if it's like a
Mhm.
function or like a relation.
Yes, that's there's vertical line tests and there's horizontal line tests as
So
well.
for the whole, you do the vertical line test
Mhm.
to see if it's like a function or a relation,
Yes,
and then you
there's
do
a
the
difference in
horizontal
between
line
that.
test to see if it's like a one-to-one function or like a
That that
many-to-one function.
that is what we're going to do right now, Pars. In the types, we're going to go through with this. Whether it's a one-to-one function, it's a many-to-one function, it's a one-to-many function, and how to determine whether it's a function or not as well. Okay, or whether it's some sort of relation as well. But before we move on to types, one thing is for sure that inverse is only possible for one-to-one function. Is only possible for one-to-one All right. Now, first of all, that was absolutely right. That apart from the multiple types that you have for a function, there are obviously major differences between what is a relation and what is a function. Can anyone tell me what those are? Because I've said that functions are a relation between an output and an input. So, what's the major difference between a relation and a function? Yes. Hmm. Yes, guys, come on.
So I have no idea.
All right. Okay.
Like, so what is a relation? Is it like
Okay. A relation in any regard is going to be like, for example, we've always focused on positive relationships and negative relationships when we were, back in IGCSEs, we did ratio and proportions. So we talked about directly proportional relationships and inversely proportional relationships, positive and negative. So a relation is always considered between two or more variables. All right. So for two or more variables, always remember that there's always going to be a relationship between them. There's always going to be a link between them if there exists one. Obviously, it cannot be so that you're linking two absolutely um, different relationships at the same time. All right. It cannot be so that two completely diverse relationships are put together. Obviously, if there is any the link or the connection between two relationships, two relations is actually is the relation. So for example, if one value increases or one sort of variable increases and the other increases as well, we say that it's a positive relationship. Why we say that? Because whatever value you're having is having a direct or somewhat an indirect effect on the other value. Is this clear, guys? That is a relation. Now a function is itself is a relation, but it is one type of relation. Usually if I were to explain it, I don't know if you probably have seen this before. Sometimes it, I think, mhm, okay, wait, let's just say that this is a universal set. Sorry, my universal set is a bit hideous for some reason. And these are relations. Okay, these are your relations. And I'll say that this is your function. So not every relation is a function, but every function is a relation. All right. So this is a function. So all functions are relations. Because what are relations? The link between two things. You put in input, you get an output. You put in input, you get an output. That is a function, and that is also a relation. But there are more than, in math, there are more relations than that exists. All right. So this is what you can, identify as. If we were to, and now if you want to know the difference between them, it's just that there are many relations that there exists. All right. Whereas all functions are relationships. But a function is a type of a relationship which is specifically focusing on an input and an output. Why do I always say it opposite? An input and an output. Clear? So it's a subset of your relation. Every function is a relation, not every relation is a function. A function is a type of a relation. There can be multiple relations. There are positive, negative, you know, skewed relationships as well. So there are, when we go through with stats, you'll see the different types of relations that there are. But a function is one type of a relation which only is concerned with when you put an input and you get an output. That is one type of a relation. Is this clear?
Yes.
All right. Okay. But unfortunately, we're going to move on with this in our next class tomorrow. All right. Kindly, Nofal and Zara, please be on time as well. Okay. And I'll begin on time too. Nonetheless, we're going to leave it till here for today. If there's any questions at all, let me know. If there's not, see you guys tomorrow. Until then, I love this. Keep smiling, guys.
Thank you, sir. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Allah
Bye bye.
Hafiz.
I love you, sir.